Hello, my name is Matthew Bellisario. Thanks for coming back by the BellisarioSonic YouTube channel. This is a Sunday evening live stream. I'm going to start doing more of these live streams, and just if people show up, they can contribute to the conversation. And tonight, I'm just going to be showing some of my favorite jazz records, talking about the ones that frequently have found their way to my turntable and seem to show up on there quite a bit. So just going to be showing you those records and talking a little bit about the vinyl community and things that are going on, maybe some new releases, and get your feedback on what you're excited about. So I'm going to start off and just go through. I've got a stack of these records here, and these records are, again, ones that just seem to find their way onto my turntable. This is one of them. This Calloway finds its way onto my turntable quite a bit. And, this has all of the great songs that Cab is known for, at least a lot of them. And some of my favorite is, of course, the Hidey Ho Man. Summertime is a good one. A great many, the Moocher. And of course, St. James Infirmary on here and Stormy Weather are just awesome. This is a fantastic record. If you can find this, I do recommend picking it up. This is an original RCA Victor pressing, and it sounds fantastic. It's in pretty good shape. I picked this up at a record show here in near Birmingham, Alabama. We do have a record show every twice a year in Gadsden, Alabama, which is just north of Birmingham. And it's a pretty good sized record show. So if you're in the area, if you're in Atlanta or Nashville or somewhere within a couple of hour drive, 2 or 3 hours, it's definitely worth checking out. I think the next one, is in August. I'll have to check into that. So, but this is an album that finds its way onto my turntable quite often. One recent one that I just picked up that I find myself listening to, and really wasn't a huge Mel Tormé fan, but a friend of mine, we were talking about Mel Tormé and had heard a couple of tunes by him. But this right here has got a really cool version of Round Midnight on here, as well as Body and Soul, and a cool Gloomy Sunday on here, and I Should Care. But this is, if there's one Tormé album that I recommend, it's probably this one. I'm not a huge Tormé fan. In other words, I don't really know a lot of his catalog, but if you're like more into the traditional jazz albums, it's kind of blues oriented, this is a really cool record. And I kind of had a hard time finding this one, and I think this is a French pressing here, and they're not that easy to find. I kind of looked around online, and I didn't come across a whole lot of them. So, but it's a pretty good album, and if you're into that kind of traditional jazz, bluesy type vocals, this is a pretty good album. I do recommend that. Not getting a lot of male jazz vocalists nowadays, that's for sure. I'm a huge Bill Evans fan, and this Treasures 3 album set is one of my favorites. And the thing that I like about this is you've got, Bill Evans playing solo, you've got him playing with his trio, and you've got some different lineups. And this is, I don't know how I got on a Blue Note sticker on the back of this one. I must have put this wrong sleeve on it. Anyways, this one I often find myself listening to, and this is one of those Elemental Records record store day releases that was, limited pressing. These are quite expensive if you can still find them, but this is definitely one of the ones I recommend. And it's, got the triple fold out and pretty cool. and the sound quality is very good. So I do recommend, if you're going to buy one of those expensive record store Dave Bill Evans, this is definitely one of the ones. Actually, I'm going to leave this out so I can put a different. It's one of the ones I do recommend getting your hands on. And leave your feedback, or if you're not watching this live, leave your comments and tell me, what are some of your favorite jazz records that that you find yourself listening to regularly. I have quite a big collection now of records, and there's always certain ones that kind of come to the top, kind of the cream rises to the top, right? And there's a lot of great records to listen to, but certain ones just always keep kind of turning back up, or there's certain ones that you want other people to listen to and they come over. One of the ones I love to play for people is this Masterpieces Ellington. And this is the 45 RPM version from Acoustic Sounds, QRP pressing. This is a really nice sounding album. And I think most people that are into jazz probably know about this record, but it does have a great reputation for a good reason. It's because it sounds like you're sitting right in front of these guys as they're playing, and the 45 RPM sounds fantastic. And I think you can still find these on the Acoustic Sounds website. This is definitely one of those records that you pick up and you play over again, and you love to show other people. And everybody that I play this for, they're blown away. They're like, wow, that sounds really incredible. So this is definitely one that shows up on my turntable quite a bit. This next one, I'm a big Art Blakey fan, and I do like a lot of his albums as a leader. But one of the ones that is probably not as well known and talked about is Indestructible. I love this album. This is just a fantastic album. Yes, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. Michael Fremer was one of the ones that recommended that Ellington. So thanks for pointing that out in the chat there. And it is fantastic. This Indestructible, I've got two different versions. They're both, of course, represses that I have. And this is an older repress here. And I first had purchased this, actually, I think on CD, and got these two different pressings. I'd love to find an original, but of course, the Blue Note originals are so expensive. But this is one of my favorites. The first two, the Olive Side one is phenomenal. The Egyptian and Sortie are just catchy tunes, and these guys are really on fire. You got Lee Morgan on here, Curtis Fuller on trombone, Wayne Shorter on tenor sax, Cedar Walton is on piano, Reggie Workman's on bass, and then, of course, Art Blakey on drums. This is just a blistering album. I love this album. So just, to me, one of my favorites. And if, anybody says, oh, what Art Blakey album do you like? This is the one I always pull out. And it's one of the ones I don't think gets enough attention paid to it. And this is, to me, phenomenal. Just one of my favorites. So, yeah. Some new ones. There's a couple of new albums. I really like this album, this band called Phronesis. And I think they have a new album, I think that's coming out soon, or maybe it has already come out or maybe it's Jasper Hoiby, who is one of the three players on this. But this is a live recording. And it was recorded back several years ago, but they did a reissue on vinyl. It was an expanded version with everything that they played on this night with this particular lineup. And you've got Jasper Hoiby on bass, Ivo Neem on piano, and Mark Juliana on drums. And this is intense modern jazz. You can find this online. I think on Amazon they've got them, but this is awesome. Sound quality is really good. I think this is on like a blue vinyl, but it's a good pressing. So you can see there. and 2 records set, but this is intense playing. I mean, when you listen to this, the bass playing by Hoiby and the piano playing, Juliana on drums, it's intense. And if you go, matter of fact, if you go search YouTube for this, Phronesis Alive, you'll see a couple of tunes that was filmed that's on this record. And if you're into modern jazz, that's kind of it's kind of hard to explain. I would say more avant-garde, fusion-y, maybe a little bit, but more kind of a postmodern jazz. But I recommend checking out. Just go online, put it in there and listen to it, see if it's your thing. If it is, this is definitely worth picking up, because this is just absolutely blistering. I mean, these guys can play. It's intense. It does not let up pretty much the entire 2 records. And it really, to me, it just kind of blew me away. And this, makes its way to my turntable quite a bit. So this is on the Edition Records label out of England, and they're doing a lot of cool modern jazz. So that's another label that I don't think is getting enough publicity, by people in the vinyl community, but this is definitely one of those. And I think this came out in 2022, but again, it's a reissue from it was released earlier on CD, but this is like a reissue. So I do recommend getting your hands on this if you're into that kind of jazz, because this just smokes, and these guys can play. And it's really nice that we've got younger guys out there that are really good players, and the tunes are really, really pretty catchy for the type of jazz that it is. And they're phenomenal players. So I really like this album quite a bit as well. And this is one of those Resonance Records Record Store Day releases. If you're not familiar with Monty Alexander, of course, he's been around a long time, kind of more known for the Latin type jazz, but this is more straight ahead. It does have a bit of a Latin flair to it, but it is more of straight ahead tunes. Love You Madly's on here. A cool version of Arthur's Theme, if you remember that movie, pretty neat. Body and Soul on here. Blues for Edith. This is a pretty cool record, and the piano playing is pretty intense. This guy can play, and this is a fun record. It's live from Bubba's, and the sound quality is really good, and it's just an engaging listen. And Monty Alexander, of course, piano. Paul Berner on bass, Dubby Jackson on drums, and Robert Thomas Jr. on percussion. So there's a lot of room on here, because it's basically a trio. If you look at, even though there's 4 guys, 2 guys are playing drums and percussion, and then really you got the piano and the bass. So there's a lot of room for him to stretch out on piano. And if you're into more straight ahead jazz, like I said, with a little bit of a Latin flair to it, this is really worth getting your hands on. I think these are still available. I think I saw them on Amazon not long ago, and they were on sale. So go check it out, see if it's for you. Again, I just recommend, going online and sampling the music and see if you like it. But it's a good pressing. It sounds really good, and it's well recorded. And these are numbered as well. You can see they're hand numbered here. So that's worth getting your hands on. Something a little different, All right, another Edition Records. I did a full review on this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But again, a lot of these reviews that I do on new releases, people aren't into, and it just kind of blows me away. It's give some of this new music a chance, because a lot of people are into the Blue Note reissues, as I am, and we have a lot of this is really, I think, the golden age of reissues right now. We're getting a lot of good jazz released, but we don't want to overlook some of the new stuff that's coming out, because there's a lot of interesting new jazz coming out. And this Sun Mi Hong, called Third Page Resonance, is a intense record. And again, more modern jazz, very progressive sounding, but she can play drums. You've got a really good piano player on here, Shirin Eam. Nicola Ritchie is a tenor saxophone player. Alistair Payne on trumpet. and you've got Alessandro Fangaro on bass. And these kids can play. They're young guys and gals here, and they're really good. And the songs are very intense. And this is another Edition Records release. Now, this one, I will say one thing about the Edition Records releases. I wouldn't say they're audiophile quality pressings, okay? You will have a little noise here and there. They're not up to the QRP pressings and things like that. I'll put that out there. But they're pretty good sounding, and the music's fantastic. And most of them are on colored vinyl, which, again, you guys have heard me say before, I'm not a huge colored vinyl fan. I don't mind it. Some of them look pretty cool. But all things being equal, for me, I just rather have a black piece of vinyl that sounds good. But if it sounds good, I don't really care what color it is. Anyhow, the Edition Records ones usually seem to come on a colored vinyl, a lot of them. And again, the pressings they're good, but they're not, I wouldn't call them audiophile. So just keep that in mind. But this is a really intense record, and she's playing drums. I do recommend checking it out. Again, go on to Amazon Music or whatever your favorite streaming service is and pull it up and check it out and see if you like it. But I do find myself playing this quite a bit just because of the intensity of the music, and it's different and it's very engaging. So again, that's on the Edition Records out of England. All right, Sonny Rollins. I'm a huge Sonny Rollins fan. And there are a lot of records that find their way to my turntable. But this one, for some reason, I always find myself playing these. Two different versions. One is from Japan, and the other one's an RCA later pressing. You can see it's on that green. This is a Victor older pressing from Japan. I think this one sounds a bit better. But I love this album, and maybe it's just because all the tunes on there are very well known, or most of them are all standards. But I like a lot of jazz records where they're 7, 8, 9-minute tunes because everybody can really stretch out and play. But there's also something to be said for these guys that can play a 4-minute jazz tune, 4.5-minute jazz tune, and they get in and say what they have to say with their solos very briefly and very quickly, but sometimes less is more, if you know what I mean. So on this particular album, I think the rule less is more works really well because these are all shorter tunes, but shorter versions of these tunes, but they're very intense. I think the solos work out well. This is the Japanese pressing here. And Rollins is, on fire, I think, on this. And I think it's an accessible album as well because, when people come over, if they don't know jazz that well, it's a good one to pull out because the songs are very catchy. You got St. Thomas on here. You've got Now's the Time on here, Blues and Boogie. Round Midnight, Afternoon in Paris, the famous tune 4, right? So all of those are really catchy tunes. And again, Rollins is really just on it when it comes to getting his solo and making things happen. And that's, I know a lot of jazz musicians. We have, I did a documentary on a Jazz Hall of Fame player, Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame player, Jose Carr here in Birmingham. So I get to hang around a lot of these guys who are jazz players, and they all talk about, getting up there, saying what you have to say and getting off the stage, because you can get up there and, repeat yourself over and over and over again. And you just say the same thing over and over again. So on this album here, you've got a pretty good lineup too. So you've got Herbie Hancock on piano on some of these, Ron Carter's on bass, Roy McCurdy's on drums. On another session, Bob Cranshaw's on bass. And so pretty good lineup of people on here. And again, they get in, they say what they have to say, and they get out, and you've got a great selection of tunes on here. So this is definitely one of my favorites, one of my go-tos. And it's just a really pleasant listen. So, all right. This Sound of Jazz, I like this as well. This is another one of those acoustic sounds, pressings, QRP, and I have this version, and I have an original version, Columbia 6i. And you know, I haven't done a shootout on this, so maybe that would be fun to do. I've not actually sat down and actually played one, played another, and got really back to back. This one is usually the one I end up playing because it's in a little bit better shape than this one. This one's like a very good, so it sounds decent, but it's got a little noise here and there. Where this one, of course, is brand new, and so this one is just overall more enjoyable listen. But maybe sometime I'll do a shootout on these just for fun. But I do love this album, and of course, this was from that television special, The Sound of Jazz. But from my understanding, what they actually showed on television wasn't the same as what was recorded and put on the album. So, but I do recommend this. You've got a great lineup of people, you know, Count Basie, Billie Holiday's on here, Mal Waldron. So yeah, this is a good one to pick up. And very accessible too. It's another one of those albums that if people aren't into jazz, it's a good one to pull out, and people, you know, if they're inclined at all towards jazz, it'll probably be one of those records that will catch their attention. For vocals, this album is awesome. This is one of those the lost recordings, and I've got a few of these, but this one here is worth getting. And they did a numbered edition, and then I think they did a repress that wasn't numbered. So you can see down here, it's got a handwritten number on it. And these were, I think, initially about $75. This is a 2-album set, but her voice, her vocals on here is phenomenal. It's a live recording from 1969 in Berlin. And if you can get your hands on this, even, you know, I would say even if it's on CD, but I think they got a reissue of this that's not numbered, and I think it was like $60. I do recommend picking it up, or you can go online and listen to this. But if you like Sarah Vaughan and you like her vocals, this is just a real treat to listen to. This is another one that when people come over, I'll break this out, and people are always blown away by this. Just her vocal range is so phenomenal, and the way she phrases and the way she can just move up and drop down, and it's pretty breathtaking. And you've got a lot of, you know, familiar tunes on here. You've got Alfie on here, Passing Strangers, Misty's on here, My Funny Valentine, All of Me, Fly Me to the Moon, the Trolley Song. So yeah, there's a lot of great standards on here, and she sings them very well, and it's a lot of fun to listen to. So if you like jazz vocals and you're a Sarah Vaughan fan, I do recommend getting your hands on that. Even if it's not the, you know, I just happened to get the numbered edition because I got it when it first came out, and then they sold out pretty quickly. And then I saw that they put another run out. But for me, numbered or not numbered, no big deal. It's what you know, listening to the music. And okay, so any comments? If you guys are, you know, want to weigh in on some of your favorites that find their way to the turntable, let me know. I've got what do I have? I think I've got just one more to show you. And this one here was probably the first jazz album I ever listened to, ever. Louis Armstrong plays W.C. Handy. And of course, there's a lot of people that don't like the early jazz, the New Orleans stuff, but I really dig it. I love his vocals on here. I've got 4 different copies. That's how much I like this album. And this really was the album that was the gateway for me to go into jazz and move me on down the line into bebop, hard bop, fusion. This just was the gateway for jazz for me. So I've got like 3 different versions here. You know, the one with the hi-fi on here, 6i. I bought the reissue that was a Barnes & Noble reissue. And This is another one that I have not done like back-to-back sound testing on. And for me, I usually put on this first one here because it's in the best shape. I keep it on the top of the stack, and the 6i pressing, and it has this little hi-fi sticker. It sounds fantastic. And you've got all the standards on here. Of course, W.C. Handy is the father of the blues. And you've got all the great classic tunes on here. St. Louis Blues, Yellow Dog Blues, Loveless Love, Aunt Hagar's Blues, Long Gone, fantastic album, song, Memphis Blues, Beale Street Blues, Hesitating Blues, Atlanta Blues. This is a great album. And this is the reissue here that there was a Barnes & Noble edition, but it's an analog Spark. There's the hype sticker on it. And this one, I don't listen to that often. I just picked it up when I saw it in the record store and added it to the collection. Then I found, I replaced this copy with the other copy there that was a better pressing, but it's, a 6i as well. And then this copy here is pretty good shape too. And it's just a regular 6i pressing without that little hi-fi thing. And this is I think this one's in pretty good shape too. It's like a very good plus. There's very, hardly any noise on it. Sounds really good. But I do recommend these. These sold a lot of copies. So you can find these around. You just have to look. And yeah, it might take you a while to find one that's in really good shape, but you'll be able to find them in, very good. You have to look around maybe to pick it up in very good plus. But these sold a lot of records, and you can pick these up still. So I do recommend that album if you want to really go back and explore that New Orleans jazz. And to me, that's kind of one of the most accessible early jazz records. So that's kind of my 2 cents there, and some of my favorite records there that I listen to quite a bit. So if any of you guys have any comments or want to chat or anything, or have any questions regarding the channel, I do have some new things coming up soon. I've got an interview coming up with Claudio Calderone, who is an Italian guitar player, jazz, classical guitar player. And this record back here that you see that has the 2 on it, he's playing on it. And I just did a review on 2 records that he plays on. And so unfortunately, the records are difficult to get, and we're trying to figure out a way. I'm trying to get him in touch with the owner of the company of Bird Box Records, which is what that's pressed by. I'm trying to get him in touch with Chad over at Acoustic Sounds, maybe to try to work out some kind of distribution, because it's really difficult to buy it online in Italy, apparently. And the shipping costs are very expensive. So if he was able to, ship more of them over here, that would really help out for distribution here in the United States, because he's got a lot of really cool jazz stuff that's all analog recorded. So the hi-fi Rhino Ole. Okay. So yeah, that's a pretty good album. That's been a while since I've listened to that, but I didn't realize that Rhino, is that a brand new one that just came out from Rhino? I guess I know that they're putting out quite all the new, they're doing some new hi-fi pressings. So I have not seen that one yet or heard it. I think I'm not sure what pressing of my Ole is. It's definitely a reissue though. Any other interesting ones that you guys have picked up lately? And I'm hoping that, again, to be able to get in contact with Chad over at Acoustic Sound somehow. So I might call over there this week and just see, because he speaks some English, but not a lot. And he communicates by email to me primarily. But if he can get a company that would distribute his records, that would really be a big help and would get that music out, because he has an all analog recording studio in Italy. It's called Nightingale Studios. And the sound quality is immaculate. It's, all analog recording equipment all the way to the record, and not many companies are doing that. Most of the time, it's just these small companies that are doing these kind of pressings, that are actually recording it all analog. They're mixing it, mastering it, and putting it to vinyl. Most of your big companies aren't recording that way, and I think it's important to try to support these companies that are doing that. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I hope that we can get hold of Chad over there at Acoustic Sounds, and maybe they can distribute the recordings, because he's got a new one coming out, a new jazz record. And again, it's just, very cost prohibitive when you have to pay like $40 for shipping or something for a record. And then, when the record itself costs like 40, and so you're paying $80 for a record, really, when, maybe $15 shipping or something would be reasonable. But if he was able to get enough of them into a distributor here in the US, then that would certainly help out distribution in the US. And I think that you have a big market in the US for audiophile records that are analog recorded. So I think that would be something really cool. So I'll keep everybody updated on that, but I am going to be doing an interview, I think this coming Friday at around 3:00. I'll be doing an interview with him and posting that up with Claudio, and talk about, he's a great guitar player, and he's more into classical jazz type of playing. He plays both electric, acoustic, very talented guy. And it's going to be cool to interview and talk to him. I play guitar myself, not nearly as good as he is, but it'll be interesting to learn about his background, his influences, what kind of guitars he uses, what he thinks about recording in analog, because again, he's recorded at that Nightingale Studios in Italy for a couple of albums at least, and they sound very good, and like to get his feedback on what he thinks between recording with analog equipment and digital equipment. And he's certainly someone who's not afraid of technology either, because he does get into some of the modern ways of recording as well. So, and modern music. So not just jazz and classical, but he kind of gets into some other things as well. So I'm excited to be doing that interview. So that'll be coming up. Anybody else have anything out there? Any questions about anything regarding jazz records tonight, or your favorites that end up on the turntable, or any thoughts on the vinyl community, or any questions or recommendations for reviews, maybe some albums you'd like to see reviewed on the channel? As you guys know, I do needle drops on this channel, so a lot of my stuff gets demonetized, but for me, this is all just fun. And okay, Jeffrey, yeah, okay, thanks for saying that. Yeah, a couple of the Atlantic 75ths. Yeah, I'm enjoying reviewing those and playing those for everybody. And they've done a good job on those Atlantic 75th, almost all of them, even the ones that I subscribe to it, so I get every single one of those. And a lot of times I talk about, I wouldn't have bought that record if I was just buying them one at a time. And a lot of times I'm pleasantly surprised. Like the Hall & Oates record, I would have never bought that wouldn't even have thought about buying that Abandoned Luncheonette record. And now I've listened to it like 5 times and it really enjoyed it. And the production on it is insane. Sounds fantastic. Bad Company. Yeah, that sounds really good as well. And I think a lot of those Atlantic 75ths is like my age. I've listened to those songs. Most of us have heard those songs thousands of times, probably over the years. Whether it's in the background at a grocery store or on the radio or whatever, or when we listened to it back when they came out. But when you listen to these on the Atlantic 75th, the 45 RPM, it kind of breathes new life into some of these albums for me. And some of those classic albums, The Foreigner, The Bad Company, the Yes albums, I mean, they really sound fantastic in my opinion. Most of these I think there's only one album out of that entire collection so far that I just didn't like, and it's just because I don't like the band, and that was the Hootie and the Blowfish. And that's one I definitely would have never bought because I just don't like their music. But that was really the only one that I didn't, care for. And out of all the ones that I've purchased, I think I have one warped record that they sent me a replacement on, and that's been it. All the rest of them have been top quality. They all are flat. They all are quiet, and the mastering on them, most of them from the original analog tapes or from a copy, a couple of them. And another one, a couple of the modern records, I was kind of surprised that they sounded as good as they sounded. The Stone Temple Pilots, just some of those were sounded better than I thought they would sound. So yeah, it's pretty impressive what they're doing with those. And again, like I said, I think it's the golden age of reissues. I'm just going to flip back through these real quick before I go. For those of you guys that didn't catch the beginning of some of my recommended albums, the Sarah Vaughan Lost Recordings, fantastic, finds its way on my turntable. The Sound of Jazz, this is the QRP reissue, and then I also have an original here. This finds its way onto my turntable quite a bit. Again, very accessible. The Sonny Rollins, Now's the Time. This one finds its way, even though I'm a huge Sonny Rollins fan. No, I haven't gotten the In Excess yet, and I think that's on its way. I paid my my bill the other day for the 75th, and so the In Excess is supposed to be here this week, I think. So I'll be doing a needle drop on that as well. Thanks, University of Vinyl, for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. So Sonny Rollins, Now's the Time. This is for newbies for jazz. I always recommend this because it's got all the great tunes on here, all the standard St. Thomas, Around Midnight, Afternoon in Paris, 4, Now's the Time, Blues and Boogie. So yeah, I love that album. Modern albums, Sun Mi Hong, go check it out again from Edition Records. They can play. This is intense, and I love promoting new music. So we have to keep new artists in business as well as buying the reissues. And I think that a lot of times, especially if you've been listening to jazz for a long time and the Blue Note stuff and all that, acoustic sounds, we all love those reissues and the traditional jazz, but there's some really good modern jazz. It's very intense. That's worth picking up. Monty Alexander, you can still find this Record Store Day. Again, more straight ahead jazz with a Latin twist to it, but a lot of room for him to really play. And this dude can play piano. Record Store Day 2 record set. These are numbered, still around. Nobody wanted these. I mean, that's kind of crazy, but nobody wanted these. I don't know how many they made of these. Let's see, 2,000. They only made 2,000 of these. This is number 1319. Nobody wants them. These have been out there for a while now, a few years, and you can still find them on Amazon. And they were on sale not long ago for like $30 for the 2 record set, $35, something like that. This is fantastic. I mean, anyway, go check it out. Go listen to it on streaming service and go find it. They'll eventually be gone, but now's the time to pick them up because they're on sale usually. And it's because nobody, he's not as famous as these other guys, as Bill Evans, but awesome. Oh, cool. So what did you pick up in Detroit? Any notable ones, Jeffrey, that you picked up there? Some top ones that you picked up that you want to share? This is fantastic. Edition Records. 2 record set. You can still find these. Intense. These guys can play. There's a couple of videos of this session online, YouTube, Phronesis, alive. Go check it out. If you like modern jazz, very intense. These guys smoke. These guys can play. And it's a lot of fun to listen to. So trio, a lot of room for them, and there are a lot of exchanging ideas and improvisation. I do recommend this. Got a couple more that I'm going back through the stack really quick before I go, just for you guys that just showed up. Again, when I go to Art Blakey, this is not one of his more well-known ones, but I love this album, especially side one. I can listen to side one over and over again. The Egyptian and Sortie on here. And again, the players on here, phenomenal. Lee Morgan, Curtis Fuller, Wayne Shorter, Cedar Walton, Reggie Workman, Art Blakey. Awesome. And I've got 2 different reissues here. Maybe someday I will pick up an original if I can ever afford it. Of course, the masterpieces. And as someone pointed out earlier in the video, Michael Fremer was the one that brought it to Chad's attention to get this pressed. Fantastic. So like you're sitting in the same room. First press of the Garbo Zabo. Okay, the Sorcerer. That's pretty cool. What did that set you back for? Those first pressings? I bet that was a pretty penny. Although he's not quite as known as some of the others, so maybe not as bad. This Tormé album took me by surprise, and 25. That's not bad. This one took me by surprise for jazz vocals. This is really cool, bluesy. If you're into jazz vocals, this one was surprising, and I found it was a French pressing, because this wasn't easy to find. I ran across this, I think, on streaming, and I was looking for a sung version of Round Midnight, which is on this album. And Steeplechase in Inner City. Okay. So I was looking up different versions, sung versions of Round Midnight, and this came up. And I really dug it. And I went and pulled up the album, I think, on YouTube, and started playing it. And I was like, wow, this is really good. And I went on eBay, which I hate eBay because just people can't grade records. I did get lucky on this one. But there were only a few copies of this album even on eBay. And I started looking up. I think I went to Discogs. There's not a whole lot of these. And I don't know how many of these were made. But there was a French version on there that was in very good plus. It sounds great. And I picked it up. It was like $15. And so I do recommend checking this out and keeping an eye out for it. If you see it and you like jazz vocals, this is a pretty cool album. And last but not least, Calloway, which I love this album. This is just another one of those fun records. But man, his vocals are really impressive. And again, this has got all the great songs on here. I found this at the record show. It was like $15. It's in very good to very good plus, maybe a little tiny noise here and there. Sounds fantastic. But the St. James Infirmary on here, awesome. Stormy Weather, fantastic. The Heidi Ho Man, of course, awesome. What You Rascal You and Summertime, the Jump and Jive, and of course many of the Moochers on here. So this is just a fun album, and I just love that people come over and they always, oh man, put on the Calloway, man, you know. Near Mint Horse Silver Serenade, a white 70s reissue. Oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool. So you got quite a few of them. It's always nice to be able to save up some cash and then go to the record store and be able to pick up some stuff you really want. Those days are kind of getting farther in between for me of being able to go out and just blow a bunch of money on albums. I have it buy enough online as it is, but there's so much good stuff coming out now that it's really difficult. And just between trying to keep up with just the Blue Note and then Chad's stuff over at Acoustic Sounds, I mean, you can spend all your money there. I mean, with everything that's coming out. I bet Detroit is a really good place to find jazz records. Yeah. I've only been to Detroit once, and that's been years ago. But I bet there's a lot of jazz to be found up there. It seems like up north. You gave up on the reissue. Why is that? Just too many? It's just the cost. I can never afford to buy those Blue Note originals. There's too many. But a lot of the ones they're coming out with now don't interest me. Like some of that funk, jazz, soul stuff. A lot of that's not my favorite stuff, and some of that Blue Note, it doesn't interest me. So I'm more into the hard bop stuff on Blue Note. So a lot of the some of the stuff they're putting out now, I didn't buy just because I wouldn't listen to it. So, or there's so much to listen to now that I really have to be interested in buying the record. Kind of the days of just experimenting and buying stuff that you might like or might listen to are over. It's just too much money and not enough time. So to listen to everything. So. Yeah, exactly. The sales, and a lot of times Amazon will have some of those Blue Notes on sale too. A lot of times they'll run them for a couple of days, and they'll blow some of them out at 30% off or something like that, and you can pick up those Tone Poets and some of the ones that aren't as popular. And I pick some of those up as well when they're on sale, depending on when they go on sale and if I've got it on my want list. So, but there's some new stuff coming out. There's a new Lee Morgan coming out, Tone Poet, that I'm definitely want to pick up. And I think Blue Note's putting out another box set. I think that's supposed to be announced later. They've announced it, but there's no real details yet on when it's going to be available. Doug Watkins, that's on my list. Oh, thanks, Wyoming Dave, for subscribing. I appreciate that. Unfortunately, I'm getting ready to stop the stream here in a few minutes, but I appreciate you coming by. You can go back and what I did tonight was I went through some of my favorite jazz albums, and that's the stack here on the table. I've gone through them forwards and backwards already, so I won't bore everybody else going through them again, but you can check out the video when I get off the stream here. And any new stuff for you, Dave? Any new records or new jazz stuff that you purchased recently that you like? Any of the reissues or used stuff that you bought? There's just so many of them coming out now. So again, Chad could take all my money pretty much just between all the stuff that he's got. No, Jeffrey, I don't find a lot of if you do find, you'll find some of those Pablo records. Sometimes I'll find some of those down here. You never see any Blue Note originals. We only have a couple record stores here near Birmingham. We have one that's right in Birmingham. We've got one that's like north of Birmingham, about an hour and a half. Another one that's kind of northeast of Birmingham in Gadsden. It's a small record shop. It's about an hour away, 45 minutes away. So there's not a lot here for originals or vintage stuff. Yeah, now, Dave, you got a point there. You can find a lot of the New Orleans big band stuff. A lot of times you will find those because nobody wants those. Nobody listens to big band or a lot of the New Orleans type jazz, which is unfortunate. I really enjoyed that stuff. Dixieland, that kind of stuff, I do like. It's not my favorite. I do prefer bebop and hard bop and that kind of stuff. But I do like a lot of that stuff, like Kid Ory. You can find Kid Ory albums for nothing. You'll run across those, and that's just fantastic stuff. So, but that's about it for down here. You don't find a lot. Again, sometimes you'll find some originals, but they're either really beat up. You'll find a Coltrane or something, and they want like a lot of money for it. It's beat up. It's like in good condition with scratches. Looks like it was sandpapered or something. It's like, to me, that's another would be another great topic for a live stream, would be grading records and talk about that and how they should decline in price more drastically than people bring them down in price. A good record to me is useless. Absolutely. Unless you need the cover, a good record is useless. It's worth not zero to me. So a lot of people will buy a good record just to have it and spend. I mean, there's people who will spend $50 or $100 on a scratched up record that's unplayable because it's an original. For me, not doing it. I have no interest in buying junk records. It doesn't matter how old it is or how rare it is. For me, that's just personally. I know some people like to just collect them and they're rare and that kind of stuff. But for me, if I can't play it and enjoy it, I'm not buying it. Yeah, Jeffrey, you're right. Yeah. I mean, Discog and eBay, those guys, they just have, most of the people on there selling records don't grade them properly. And I don't know how many times I've done at least 2 videos talking about the eBay grading, about how it's supposed to be very good plus, and you get it and there's scratches and pops and stuff. And I'm like, are you guys looking at the same record that you sold me as a very good plus? So, but yeah, like a good records that are scratched up and pop, if it skips, to me, useless. Like if a record skips, I don't want it. I'll never play it if it skips. I'm not gonna, play one song for me. That ruins the whole thing for me. If the record skips, it's useless. It's worth no money to me. Again, unless you want the cover. For some of these places, I would say some of these record stores that have these bins, they're like $5 bins. And you pull the record out and it's like someone drug it behind their car, surfed on it or something with a rope, and just it's so scratched up, it's useless. And they've got $5 on it. That's not worth $5. The cover's not worth $5. And it's why even sell those? Just throw those in the garbage and put $1 for the cover or something. Count Basie. Yeah, I like Count Basie as well. 2 record sets, and he's pretty easy to find too. Count Basie. I don't think he's as appreciated as a lot of jazz artists are, and a lot of times you can find a lot of the Count Basie stuff, the Pablo records, and some of those you can find those for pretty cheap. I run across those when I go. Sometimes I'll drive over into Georgia, Atlanta, that area, and some of those. Even some Ellington stuff you can find at a good price. Count Basie, Louis Armstrong, you can still find his stuff all day long. Another still underappreciated, another underappreciated artist, in my opinion, even though he's pretty much the one that started jazz improvisation as we know it today with the trumpet. And I love a lot of his stuff. I mean, some of his later stuff that got kind of Hello Dolly kind of stuff. But when you go listen to the Hot Fives, the Hot Sevens, all the New Orleans traditional stuff. I love all that stuff. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, Jeffrey. Yeah, the chat is reissuing the Pablo stuff, and I'm sure those are going to sound really good. Those were, I think, again, you can find a lot of those. Some of them are rare, some of them are hard to find, but there's some of them that you can still find that are pretty cheap. Some of the live ones I do see around at the record shows and things like that. But yeah, I'm interested to see how those are going to sound. What is the alternative blues? Is that which album? Who's that? That's one of the Pablos. I'm gonna have to definitely look in. That my problem is, it's like I can't afford to go into another. My problem is if I get into that Pablo series, I'm gonna end up. Yeah, okay, you're right. If I get into that series, then I'm gonna end up spending even more money. And right now, I'm trying to keep up with what I'm doing. So Alternative blues. Okay, yeah, I'll have to keep that on my radar. And I still have yet to pick up, those new OJCs. I've got several of those on my list, and I just haven't got around to buying them. The Ellingtons, yep. But I haven't got around to buying any of the OJCs. If you guys picked up any of the new OJC releases, the new series there, I still haven't picked them up. I've got several I've got on my want list, and I still haven't picked those up. I can't keep up with it all. I need to win the lottery or something. But between the Atlantic 75th, that's 2 or 3 records every month. Then there's at least, one Blue Note that I want to get every month, and something else will pop up and catch my attention that was unexpected, and I'll buy that. And then, I'm not just into jazz only. I buy other stuff. So there might be a rock record or something that comes out, and I buy that. Yeah, the OJC, that's your favorite series. So right now, yeah, it's on my list. I just have to make some adjustments if I'm going to start picking up a lot of those. But there's like 3 or 4 of them I really want. So I might go ahead and pull the trigger on at least one of those here soon. Yeah, I know. Stick to jazz. Yeah, I would say 75% of my listening is jazz, but there's some classical stuff that I really like. There's still some rock stuff and blues stuff that I like to listen to. And I do, keep up with some new releases and stuff. So every once in a while, I did a review on the Elvis Costello that I put out yesterday that I really enjoy. So there's just so much out there. And yeah, it's hard to keep up. So yeah, that's on my list. That the Cats is on my list. The Ron Carter one I want. There's the Bill Evans. One of the Bill Evanses I'd like to pick up. Yeah, there's several of them that are on my list. It's just they're $40 a piece. So, you can only buy so many of those. You got to pay the power bill, which is now like, outrageous during the summertime here in Alabama. And then you got your regular bills to pay. Go to the grocery store, it's like freaking a third more than it was last year. Everything else. So Mal Waldron. Oh man, I love Mal Waldron. Yeah. So yeah, I have to plan a little bit better. Again, I'm still kind of impulsive. So when I see something, and I'm really interested in it, I'll pick it up, and then all of a sudden something else will come out, and I'll be like, oh man, I don't have the money to get that one. I got to wait or whatever. JMI. What's one of the ones you recommend on that, Justin? JMI, is there a particular title that that you recommend getting? I'm always interested in recommendations from you guys. So not that I need to spend any more money, but I'm always looking for more cool music to listen to. And again, it's just fun for me to review the records and drop the needle on there, and that way you guys can listen to them and I can give you my feedback. I enjoy doing that. I wish more people did that so that you can actually, I like to be able to hear. You can usually hear if it's a bad pressing when I play them. I point out there's surface noise or something like that. You can hear it on the video. So, but on the JMIs, let me know, Justin, if there's a particular title there that you recommend picking up, and maybe I'll look into getting one of those to review. Hopefully I am working my way up now. I think I'm up to $30 on my monetization on YouTube. So I'm not getting rich here, but I'm hoping I'll be able to get enough to where when I get to $100, um, when I get to $100, then Amazon will pay out, and then I'll buy a record for a couple of records from that $100, and I'll do a live stream with you guys once I get up to that, and up to that where I get money from Amazon. I'll let you guys pick out the records, and I'll probably do jazz. So you guys can pick out what records I buy once I end up getting enough money built up. It's probably going to take me another 6 months. I think it's taken me 2 months now, 3 months, almost 3 months now to work up to like $30. So we'll see. I got another 6 months or so before, hopefully by the end of the year, maybe I'll have enough. Helen Sung, Antero, Sievert, and Sasha Berliner. Okay, I haven't heard any of those, or even so. Those are all JMI recording. All right, I'll have to check those out. Once I get off here, I'll go online. And you say they're on Amazon, right? So I'll check some of those out, Justin. You guys got anything else before I sign off here? I'm right at about an hour or so. Okay, stream the plum from JMI. Okay, Spotify. Okay. All right, cool. Well, I appreciate all you guys joining me. I really do. And I appreciate all your feedback and you guys chatting here and giving your recommendations and everything else. It's a lot of fun to chat with you guys and learn what you guys are buying and that kind of thing. So it's I think music is one of those things where everybody can have fun with, Chat a new issue of Bluesville. Yeah, Chad's killing me. I mean, Chad's killing my pocketbook. But the Atlantic 75th every month, that's 2, maybe 3 records. So that's 120 or $180 there every month for that series. And then again, you're always going to have a Blue Note. You're going to have another acoustic sounds of something else come out. And then there'll be some unexpected things that pop up. So, you can easily spend $300, $400, $500 easily a month on records. And I can't, keep spending that much. So, but the contemporary series, yep, those are fantastic, Jeffrey. I agree. I have several of those. And what I'll probably do too is go back, because there's a lot of these I haven't done needle drops on, reviews on. I've got such a backlog of albums that I haven't reviewed that I'll have to go back and, most of those are all still available. So doing a review will still be relevant to people on a lot of those. And I've got a lot of those acoustic sounds, the contemporary series, all those that I could definitely do needle drops on or reviews on. So I still have to finish the Thelonious Monk box set. Bluesville, yep, that series, yep, that's another series. So yep, that's a lot of good stuff coming out for sure. All right, folks, well, I'm going to sign off here. Yeah, all Tone Poets. Yeah, OJCs. $40 a pop for OJCs. $38. A little steep, Tone Poets. And yeah, I mean, I got several tone Poets I could do reviews on that I haven't done yet as well. I'm always impressed with those, and I don't think I've gotten a bad Tone Poet yet. I don't think I've had a bad pressing. I've got a ton of them. Even the classic series, I don't think, maybe I've had one pressing bad one. Yeah, OJC, I don't. Once in a while on Amazon, I have seen the OJC go on sale. Matter of fact, right now, I think the Ron Carter. If you go look up the Ron Carter on Amazon, I think it was on sale. I think it was like $31. And that's on my list, and I almost pulled the trigger on that. So, yeah, you have a good night too, Justin. I'm getting ready to sign off. I appreciate you guys joining me, and I'll be doing more of these live streams. And And again, I got the interview coming up, and I'll be finishing up the Thelonious Monk box set. I've got 2 more of those albums out of that box set, which is fantastic. The Monk Riverside tenor sessions from Chad. That's a nice box set. Red Garland, yeah. There's too many, man. Oh, that's on sale. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes you'll find some deals on Amazon now. You never know how they're going to ship it. Those fools will throw it in a box sometimes, and it gets bounced around the inside of a box like this big, and then the corners are all bent and crap, and you got to send it back. I mean, these guys are at Amazon. I don't know what rejects they've got packing those, but you never know what you're going to get. But they do sometimes have some good deals on stuff. So. Yes. Is the Ron Carter one still on sale? I think, it was on sale for like $30 or something. Jeffrey. Oh, did you get those? How did you get those? Did you get them off their website, Justin? I'm curious, the Bird Box. Because I've had people that were saying that the shipping and you had to have a Italian code or something to buy them, or did you buy them straight off their website? I'm really interested in finding out how you got them. See you, Jeffrey. Thanks for coming. So yeah, Justin, if you let me know how you got those. Oh, Discogs. Interesting. Okay. Because I'm in contact with him. I definitely want to help get him some distribution in the US. And were they what was the shipping on those? Do you know, Justin, on the Bird Box ones? Bandcamp? Was the shipping outrageous or was it reasonable? Because I'm really interested in hopefully he can get his records distributed here, like through Acoustic Sounds or one of these guys, Elusive Disc. I'm sure one of these guys would want to pick up his series and sell them here in the US. So, but somebody else had tried to order off the website and they couldn't, Justin. And then they said that the shipping was like $45 or something crazy. Which I don't know what kind of taxes they're putting on stuff coming out of Italy. Who knows? Oh, really? Oh, that's not bad. So, okay. Well, I'll let people know. I didn't know that you could get them off Bandcamp or Discogs. So I'll definitely have to put links to those so people maybe have an easier time finding those. Because I know some other people were interested as well. So I appreciate you letting me know. All right. Well, I'm signing off. I will talk to you guys soon, and again, share with other people, and hopefully, I'll definitely be having some new live streams. And again, I'm interviewing that guitar player, Claudio Quattrone, from that Bird Box album. I'm interviewing him on Friday, so I'll be putting that interview up on YouTube, and that should be fun. So to find out about the recording and about his guitar playing and everything else. So I'll be that'll be my first ever interview. So I'm kind of excited about it. So I appreciate you guys coming by, and again, leave your feedback. And anytime you guys have a suggestion, let me know. And I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. We'll talk to you later on. Signing off from Birmingham, or the outskirts of Birmingham. Have a good one.